Hey, and welcome back to another episode of the Inside Lines podcast. I'm your host, Atoya Burleson.
And I am Tia Averill.
Coming up a bit later in the show, we'll be chatting with entrepreneur and Cheba Hut Franchise owner Jasmine Hyder. We'll also be getting into our hot take this week, where we'll be discussing NFL Hall of Famer Deion Sanders and his new head coaching role at Colorado. But first, Tia, how was your weekend?
You know, my weekend was all right.
Okay.
I spent the whole weekend in a gym, albeit for Xander and Zay. Listen, first off, Zay does AAU and Xander does in-house, which is like traditional boys and girls club league. And then, of course, they got games this week, going to Arizona next week. I'm just like, I was excited because I do enjoy watching them play and stuff. Mm-hmm. But once you get into the swing of things again, you're like, oh, dang, I have no time to do anything over the weekend. Like, it is always something. So
you're right. AAU consumes your life. I remember that like yesterday, and I don't want to go back. It was a lot. It was too many games, too much high blood pressure. I'm glad to be done and found my zen and peace in high school.
Yeah. But you know what? Okay, so like I said, on one end, it's kind of, you know how you have the pros and the cons. The cons is, of course, you can't plan shit because you don't know what's going on, right?
Real talk.
But I, like I said, I do enjoy them playing, but I really like our parent group.
Oh, that's cool.
Like the parents are cool. Yeah, like the dads are cool, the moms are cool. Like it's cool to see. Which I think I don't know if I talked about this before, but just growing up, I didn't see like a lot of dads like involved with kids sports and stuff like that. Like that just was an anomaly, right? To us coming to Seattle, and I told the dads one Father's Day, I'm like, yo, this is dope because I'm not used to this. Like literally, everybody's dad is around. Yeah. They participate. They coach the kids up. They take care of the kids, and that's something that's new for me. So I like our little group.
That's what's up. I remember, shout out to all my AAU homies, all the families. We had a good time. Some of them late nights, letting the kids run around, and we set up in the hotel lobby.
Having drinks, right?
Adulting. I'm just going to say adulting. Oh, the good old days.
Right. What about you, Toya?
My son went on a recruiting trip this weekend. It consumed my entire weekend, and I'm tired. That's it. I'm tired. I feel like I just need to fast forward to 2023. And my goal for 2023, because it's not really a New Year's resolution, but my goal for 2023 is to find my zen and my peace, to slow down. Okay. Like I can't keep going at my pace that I'm going to find it. I got to slow down. So
it's too much.
I'm making some changes to kind of find that. Like once you start tapping into that, it changes your whole mindset. So that's where I am.
How did the trip go for Lil Nate?
It was a really good time. He absolutely loved it. I think recruiting now is it's so different. When I went on my recruiting trip for college, it was just me. They flew me up, they take you around, you have your host, so on and so forth. Now they fly you up with your parents. They put on these whole presentations. The kids go with their hosts part of the time. They also do things with the other coaches. You learn from the nutritionist, the strength and conditioning. You go talk about what majors you're interested in for college and what that would look like and what you can get involved in. So it's all laid out now. It's great. And he really enjoyed it. He had so much time. Mm-hmm.
Did he get a chance to go out and experience a college party?
Of course. We had separate rooms, okay? He was doing his thing.
Nice.
And let me tell you, we was doing ours too. Bye.
Was Nehemiah able to go out with them and hang out?
No, Nehemiah did not go because they had basketball tryouts here, and then now they are learning like their plays and stuff because they have their first game coming up in 2 days. So Nehemiah's like, Mom, I got to stay and learn my plays. I need to get focused. Nene. So he stayed. And then Mia had a presentation for school. So those two stayed. We went. And I thought that was good, though. I think that Nate needed this time to like just go and be Nate. So, gosh,
so y'all really got it in on the old
listen
old
here.
campus.
Let me tell you something. Nate went out 2 nights. The first night he didn't stay out that late. The last night they kicked it super late. Like he probably, when I came knocking on his door to go to the airport, he probably only been asleep like an hour. But the first night, I'm gonna be honest, we was out later than little Nate. So we like swapped roles. Okay. The first night we kicked it, hung out with all of our friends that were there, like 6, 7, 8. We was rolling deep, had a good time, and we got back super late. The second night, I was like, tap out. I'm going to bed. I went to bed. Little Nate stayed out late. So yeah.
I love it.
We had fun swapping stories. It was a good time. That's the fun part about you and your kids get to adulthood. You kind of stop parenting and you just start listening and sharing stories and being their friend. So it was a good time. We had a really good time. Okay, that's enough of that. Now let's get into this week's hot take. All right, it's time for this week's hot take, Tia. What we got?
Okay, so this week in Hot Takes, we are talking NFL Hall of Famer Deion Sanders and his new head coaching role at Colorado. So if you have, I don't know, somewhere been like lying under a rock or something, then you know Deion has been the head coach at Jackson State, which is an HBCU. Now, this was big for the HBCU community because you have like I said, this Hall of Famer coming in and pouring into an athletic department, right? Like really turning it around, right? Turning the culture around and things of that nature, which if you are familiar, like the HBCU experience hasn't been that. Like people don't tend to go to HBCUs for the athletics. And so throughout, you know, his 3 years that he served at the school, he's been able to obtain some top recruits and had other top recruits looking at HBCU programs in general, right?
Yeah.
And then this weekend came where they, you know, there was little rumblings that after their championship, I can't even remember what conference they play in. Jackson State plays in.
The SWAC, I think.
Yes, the SWAC conference championship game, which Jackson State, of course, was playing in. Deion announced that he was leaving and going to take a head coaching role at Colorado. Now, the folks on social media been they've been divided, right? Where some people think like, okay, congratulations, go ahead, you know, it's fine to move on. And other people are like, why would you do this to us, essentially? Yeah. So, Atoya, my question to you is, do you think Deion is wrong for leaving and going to Colorado?
Okay, so I'll be honest. I was one of those people that was divided as well. For a couple reasons. For one, Deion Sanders is grown, so whatever he chooses to do, you know, if this is about his coaching career and going from one level to another, kudos to you. That's what you want to do, so be it. Now, the other side of me, the reason I'm kind of like, is because that's not really how he was selling the program. Right? So I felt like he was about, you know, showing what Black universities could do, showing kids that they should go to Black universities, and this is why, this is what we can do, this is what we can achieve, which they did achieve those goals. However, I feel like when he left a lot of kids behind. Now, kids can enter, I get it, they can enter the transfer portals, they can transfer out. But the dream that he sold not only to other coaches and kids was Black universities. We can do it. We can bring in these kids and we can win just like y'all. We can, you know, it was mixed. It was mixed signals. That's how I felt. I really felt bad for those kids that had the opportunity to go to these huge universities, and he talked them out of it because he sold them the Black university dream. And then he left and went to those exact same universities that he told these kids not to go to. That's where I am like, Deion, you can't do that to the kids, bruh. Like, so,
yeah,
you know, Deion Sanders, he's a good salesman. Let's be clear. He had us all like, okay, we see you. But listen, that money came calling, that, you know, all the things that he didn't get at these Black universities, he got at these other institutions that are non-Black. And he like basically turned his head to everybody else and did everything he said, told these kids not to do. That was disheartening for me. What about you?
Okay. So you brought up good points. Well, my first question when I heard this, because Adam Schefter, you know, Adam be getting all the scoop. He had you know, drop hints on Twitter, whatever, on Thursday or Friday. My first thought was, I wonder what Deion's end plan is. Like, what is your end goal? Is your goal to become a head coach at for an NFL team? Like, what is your goal? Because let's be clear, he does not have to work as a coach at all, right? So you know that he's doing this for the love of the game.
Yeah.
And so when I'm like, okay, well, he went from Jackson State to Colorado, like, what is the end goal? Because like, if he feels like there's stepping stones to get to become an NFL coach, things of that nature, is like, honestly, there's no stepping stones, because guess what? Jeff Saturday just became a coach out of nowhere, you know?
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, he's Deion Sanders.
Like,
he don't even got to do all that. Right.
Exactly. Like, we know you're a proven athlete, right? But to your point, I was disappointed, but for selfish reasons. I have not been so excited to go to an HBCU college football game until he got there. Until he started changing the culture and things of that nature, right? Again, very selfish. This is completely selfish, right?
That's
but
fine.
When I think about, to your point, all these kids he brought into their program, all the byproduct of people, because let's be clear, I was not checking for Jackson State in any form, you know what I mean? And so, like, to just get so many people excited about him and the program, and I think about the kids that are now juniors that he brought in when he came.
Right.
Their final year is not with who they thought they had committed themselves to, kind of thing.
Exactly.
And so, honestly, I did think it was a little soon. Like, I was like, dang, how long? I didn't even realize he had been there 3 years. I was like, he only been there about 2 years. It's been 3 years. So I, to be completely honest, I am disappointed.
Yeah.
And I'm disappointed for selfish reasons. But of course, I want him to succeed in whatever it is, like, his end plan is. But I just, it would be helpful to know what his end plan is, because he just got done recruiting a group of kids. So what are you going to do?
That's why I say he's like a car salesman, because I felt like he sold these kids this dream of, you don't need to go to these universities to win. And then you turn around and go to those universities to win. And, you know, that's very disheartening to, and it happens a lot. You know, I mean, you think about it, that is kind of the goal. And it might be just like a subconscious mentality of like, I want to get out of this. You know what I'm saying? In order to succeed, I have to get out of this. I have to leave this, right? Like, I don't want to stay in my old neighborhood. I don't want, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to go there. I want to do this to achieve that. I need to do something different. So that's why I said it's kind of like a car salesman in the sense, because he preached and sold this black, and then boop, he's out. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see who he takes with him, which kids do enter the transfer portal, and if he does pick them up when he's at Colorado. Now, if he does that to all the kids who he sold these dreams to, if he pulls them up with him, then so be it.
But then how do you pick and choose who you accept and who you don't?
And the transfer,
my other question is, don't you got to set up?
It's open.
How long do you have to sit out when you enter the transfer?
You don't have to anymore. So before, you would have to sit out a year. They changed those rules. Now you can enter the transfer portal, and whatever university wants to talk to you and bring you on, they can bring you on. So the rules have changed a lot now, which that's why I'm hoping, you know, because you know me, I'm all about the kids. I'm hoping he'll be like, all right, listen, I'm going, but I got you. If you still want to be with me, enter. I'll pull you over here to Colorado. We'll be good. Like, that's what I'm hoping in all of this. Because to your point, all those kids that came in with him, he needs to finish with them. Yeah.
Well, we would hope. Anyway.
I know. Right, anyway.
Right. But y'all let us know what y'all think. Are y'all a little salty like we are that Deion left? Or do y'all think, leave that man alone? He can climb and do whatever it is that he feels he needs to do. But leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/insidelines.
Okay, that's it for this week's Hot Takes. Coming up next, our conversation with Jasmine Hyder. On the show today, she hails from Phoenix, Arizona. She was a professional hurdler for 8 years. She is now a full-time mother, entrepreneur, and business owner and operator of Cheba Hut Toasted Subs. And she's married to Kerry Hyder of the San Francisco 49ers. Jasmine Hyder, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, y'all. I'm so good. Thank y'all for having me. I really appreciate this. This is exciting.
We cannot wait to talk to you. Okay, I gotta go back. The fact that you were raised in Arizona and you were a hurdler is like near and dear to my heart because I'm from Arizona and I was a hurdler. And I was like, yes. So I was like, I gotta have her on. This is crazy.
What?
So I was raised in Chandler, Arizona. Went to Chandler High School. And I was a hurdler, champ in the hundreds and threes back then. So yes, I was like, what?
What? Hold on. See,
Yes.
so I always thought that I was like the finest to come out of Arizona. I did not know these things. That is amazing. You go with your boss self. Look, Arizona has history, and they be trying to play with us.
It really does. There's so many amazing athletes that come out of AZ. But I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give you the nod because you are the finest to come out. Because let me tell you something. The fact that you went to Arizona State and you ran them 400 hurdles like it was nothing, that race was the death of me, okay? I hated running that.
It was the death of me. I mean, honestly, if I'm being honest, I did not like the 400 hurdles. I never wanted to do them. I never thought that I would do them. My coach was very adamant about me doing them. He was like, you're going to run 400 hurdles. I did the 300s in high school, but only my junior and senior year. So I did not anticipate like being a good 400 meter hurdler, running professionally as a 400 meter hurdler. I dreaded it.
Were you good in high school doing the 300?
I was, but it was very random, and I wasn't as good as a national level athlete was. I was good in Arizona, but I was not as good. I wasn't as fast as the girls that were running, going to USC and things like that. I wasn't running 39 seconds. They were running 39, 40 seconds. I was running like 44 seconds. So I wasn't.
Look, baby, kudos to you. Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah.
Because I was a good 55-second 300-meter hurdler, about to die that last little 100 meters.
And listen, the great thing about the 300 hurdles is you can sprint the whole thing. Like, I feel like that is something you can master. But that 400, ooh-wee, that last 100, boy.
And you got to train for that last 100, too. You're not training for the 300 hurdle. You're training for the last 100 of the 400 hurdles.
Real talk. So I just had to give you your accolades and your flowers because people don't know how hard that race is.
Oh, yes, it is a hard race. And I think my last 2 years, I went with the attempt to do the 100 hurdles, which is my first love, which is what I did coming into track and field was hurdles. Yeah, So I was like, I want to go and see if I can do it in the 100 hurdles. Like I don't feel like I'm supposed to be a 400 hurdler, and I did. I attempted it, but it just didn't go that route.
You attempted it in college?
No, I actually in 2018, after we were in Detroit for like 2 years, like we had permanently moved to Detroit, stayed there for like 2 years. I was like, I'm gonna start running again, and I started back training again. I called it a 2-year sabbatical, and I'm like, I'm gonna come and I'm gonna compete again. I'm gonna try to go for 2020. Very excited about it, and I linked up with a friend that was in Ypsilanti in Michigan, Eastern Michigan, and we trained for about 2 years, and then Kerry got picked up with the Cowboys, and we moved to Dallas, and I found a coach in Dallas, and then I trained for about a year. And once the pandemic hit, it was just a lot of ups and downs. I had to weigh some real options and some real like lifetime goals at that moment. I felt like that was hard. That was a very complicated time because that was the end of my track career. Like ain't no more Jasmine Hyder come back. That's done. So that was a big transition for me.
And that's such like you didn't even get to decide, right? It was like COVID decided for you. That was a lot going on.
But it was everything was speaking to me. I feel like it was time, the way things were lining up for me, they lined up for that to happen and to make a decision where I felt okay with it. I didn't feel so bad. Every other time that I had stopped running or I had taken a break or whatever it was that kept me from doing what I was doing, I had to I really didn't have a choice, I felt I just had to keep going. I had to keep whatever. But I was at a space in my life where it was like, okay, Jasmine, what do you really want to do? And what are you really doing right now?
Yeah. Let's rewind a little bit because I do want to talk about the business of track and field because I feel like it's kind of like a mystery for people on the outside. So after college, how did you decide, like, okay, I want to continue and try to compete for the Olympics and things of that nature? Like, what is that transition look like? And then, like, what did you have to do kind of behind the scenes? Because like I said, a lot of us on the outside, you don't really know how hard it is to keep going.
It is. For me, I was a little blessed. I'm not going to say a little blessed. I was very blessed. It was a different transition. I actually made the world championship team in 2011, and it was my last season of college. So I had a team that I was put on. I got kind of like swept through that whole system. I thought that I was guaranteed a contract. I thought that I was guaranteed, this great coaching situation. And a lot of things changed for me once I actually got to the World Championships and I didn't place or I didn't make the final. Those things hold very strong in track and field. You have to be placing, you have to be making the final. Those things it was big. And I was coming out of college. So I had like a long career. I had a long season. The agents, the shoe companies, everybody was looking at me like, we don't know what she's going to do. And the following year was an Olympic year. So I had kind of like the back of like, I have to make the Olympic team on me for the whole time that I trained for 2012. I stayed at my university with my coach. I actually did not work, and it was different because further down the line, I ended up working and training when I was training for a team. But initially, I just borrowed money from my agent, and then he sent me on an indoor circuit. He sent me on an outdoor circuit. I did not make the team, but the transition was so hard because I didn't have any support. All the support was from my university, which was cool because I lived in Arizona. I was already there. I graduated from Arizona. I had the team. I had my coaches. But the lifestyle was so different because I didn't have the school paying for everything. I didn't have, the resources that everybody had. They took care of me. Arizona State took care of me. But I didn't have all of the resources that I had when I was in college, along with the amounts of races and things like that. So for me, the transition, I won't say was hard. I just will say that it was not how I anticipated it was going to be. Plus, I had a roommate who had almost went through the same thing maybe a year or two prior. So I watched her sign a contract, make a world championship team, have a contract, cars, and all this great stuff.
So when you say a contract, are you referring to like an endorsement from like a brand, like a Nike, a Puma? Okay.
Yes. Yep. And then like now, I really don't even know how it works. I have a friend that is in the wire, like super tough right now, made 3 teams in 1 year and has no endorsements. So it's like, and the sport's crazy. Like it just is. And I had to learn through my experience, like how that actually works. And it is different for everybody. And it might be a little bit how it is with football too. Like people, like I said, I didn't come out of high school with the first name. I didn't come out of college with the first name. I remember seeing tweets after I made the team, like, who is Jasmine Chaney? Where did she come from? Like, I made the team. I got 3rd place. I didn't run a very fast time at the time. It wasn't a very fast time, so it's just so many things where it's just like, dang, like it just was a different journey. And of course, as time goes on, it changes as well too.
I want to rewind back a little bit and talk about, because you compared the two. You said that when you graduated, you didn't have as many resources and you didn't have, a lot of people helping you. But let's talk about when you were in college, because a lot of people don't know you're a Pac-10 400 meter champion. Okay. And talk about how it was being an athlete. What did they do? How did they take care of you? What did they provide for you?
Man, everything. So, but I earned everything that I had.
You did.
I came to Arizona State as a walk-on. Mm-hmm. I was a walk-on, but I did have a scholarship. So it was like a partial scholarship, they would say. Got to Arizona State, and by my junior year, I had earned up to a full ride scholarship. So then I was able to get a stipend. So initially it was books, tuition, and fees. That's what they paid for me. Because of my income, because of home, I was able to get loans, which I'm hoping that, those get out the way.
Come on, Joe Biden.
Yes, they gotta get wiped out because it's just not fair. It just ain't right. So I took out my first 4 semesters. I took out like the student loans, the Pell Grants, the ones that the government offers, and then they have another like stipend that they give you just for being low income, and then they have a stipend that they give you for being an athlete, and you get to buy clothes, and so you turn in your receipts. By the time I was a junior, I was able to obviously live off of campus because I had a stipend for housing and for living. So they do all that. You get bags of clothes. That's what got me to Arizona State. It gave us so many clothes and gear and things to train in, which I regretted when I graduated from school. I thought I was going to sign with Nike. I was like, oh yeah, I'm about to sign. Da-da-da. I gave all of my stuff away. 5 years of just memorabilia, just clothes, everything, gave everything away to all my training partners that I had trained with. I didn't have nothing. It was so weird, but that was one thing that I really enjoyed. But you get the massages, you have your coaches, you have your academic advisors that help you with getting your classes put together. So they provide you with a lot of resources to be successful throughout the seasons and throughout like your semesters at school, for sure.
So post college, when you were speaking about yes, Arizona allowed you to use their facilities and you had a coach and things like that, the additional resources that you needed were more along the lines of like body care.
Yes, I needed body care. I needed clothes. I still needed shoes. I didn't have trainers. I didn't have things to train in. I mean, granted, I gave all my stuff away, but still, I didn't have like those things, every day. I was able to use the track. I was able to use the weight room. I was able to use the coaches. Yes, absolutely. But I still had to essentially pay for when I traveled. And when I traveled, I had to book my own travel. I didn't have anybody booking it for me, especially for the domestic track meets. But the international track meets, I did get help and things like that. But still, it just is, everything is just done for you. Yeah, everything's done for you when you're in school. When you're out of school, you have to pay for everything. And that was something now. So I had two spectrums of professional track and field. I had the spectrum where I came out of college and I didn't have anything and I couldn't pay for nothing. Then I had the spectrum where my husband pays for the Dallas Cowboys and I can buy anything that I need. And that's when it was like, what do you want to do? I was able to get the shoes and the clothes, and I didn't need a sponsorship, so to say. I had the resources to book my hotels and get to the meets that I need to get to. So all those things were free of mine when I had to compete. I didn't have nothing on the line at that point.
So he helped you support your dreams and move forward doing everything, which is wait, you gotta talk about how y'all met. How did you guys meet?
So when I did not make the team in 2012, I ended up packing up and moving to Lubbock, Texas. So my coach, Deion Miller, that he's now the head coach at Arizona State for the track and field team, he recruited me to Arizona State. His alma mater is Texas Tech. So he got the coaching job at Texas Tech after my freshman year of school. So we were separated for like 4 or 5 years. And then after I didn't make the Olympic team, he was like, hey, you should come to Lubbock. I will train you. Help me with my girls. Because we had won, conference championships. We had won national championships at that time. And he was going to a whole new program that didn't know nothing about any of that type of mentality, or what it takes, what that type of training looks like. He knew I was out there doing my thing. So he's like, come here, I'll take care of you and we'll figure out what's happening here. So I went there, and then this was the first time I got a job. He was like, you got to work, because he's like, so I got a job. He helped me find a place to live. I ended up staying with the team's academic advisor at the time. She had her own home, and she actually used to run track for Jamaica. So it was really cool. Like, she was cool. She was really nice. I rented a room from her. I worked at a restaurant called Bikinis. I don't even know if it exists anymore, but at the time there was something. Yeah, it's like a Hooters. And I worked there for like a year, and I was really focused on running and making the next team. I was so sad, and my coach had, offered me this opportunity, and so I was so into like, I'm making this team. I'm coming back. Anybody tell me nothing. Yeah, I was so tunnel vision. This was really a great time for me. I'm in Lubbock, Texas. Never been there before. I'm working, training, mentoring. So I was really in a very good space for myself, mentally, physically, the best shape of my life, and just kind of isolated. And he walks into my job one day with his cousin, who at the time, I don't know if I should say it, but I'm gonna say it. His cousin was on the run.
Oh.
He wanted to take him somewhere fun before
he turned himself in.
Hey, that's a good cousin right there. That's a good cousin.
Not that bikinis is like a fun place or anything like that. It's like a Hooters, but you know, right. he's like, that's all I knew at the time. That's all for one last meal. Come on.
One last
yeah. And they came in and I was kind of rude to him. I wasn't very nice. And then I felt bad about being mean. And I went back and I was like, hey, like, you know, I ain't gonna give you my phone number, but you can hit me up on social media. And we exchanged like that. Yeah, I was being real. And
that was it. That like once he hit you up, that was it.
Okay, so then we exchanged Facebook information. Obviously, did the Facebook creep, and then through Facebook we exchanged phone numbers. And I told him that I was from Arizona, and so I guess when I texted him with the number, he gave me his phone number, and I texted him, it was a Lubbock phone number. And he thought that I was another girl that his homeboy was trying to hook me up with. So he ended up going like a whole week not messaging me. And I'm like, dang, like that was weird. I mean, whatever. But then one day I'm at work and I look up and here comes this guy. This was Kerry's, again, I guess I should say this was Kerry's last season of football. So he was playing for Texas Tech at the time. So this is last season of football. And he walks in to the restaurant with all his teammates. It's like a Tuesday in the morning. And I'm like, what is this? And he walks in, he like sits down and I'm looking at him like, bro, you ain't hit me up in a week. Like you asked me for my phone number. You was pressing for me. You ain't said nothing. And then he was being funny, acting about his name. He was being funny. I don't know. It was a weird exchange because I ended up texting him before he left. And I was like, oh, so you just gonna run up in my job and like not text me and all this stuff. He was like, oh my gosh, I thought you were somebody else. You told me that you had that you were from Arizona and you're texting me from a Lubbock number. Like, I had no idea who was texting me. I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. And then he was like, let's go on a date. And I was like, okay. And we went to the movies, and after that, yes, it was a wrap.
She wrote.
Yeah, we were inseparable. We have literally been together since the fall of 2013, and we got married in January of 2014. So we got married.
Oh, so like 4-5 months later.
Yeah.
Wait a minute now. Hold up.
Okay, wait. So he's still in school at this point?
No, he graduated.
Okay.
So he graduated in the spring of 2013, and he finished out his eligibility in the fall of 2013.
Oh,
so
okay.
December, he was done with football, and then January, he went to train for the combine, and he trained in Atlanta. Okay. Which is where we also got married. We tried to get married in Texas during New Year's before he left because the original plan was for me to go back to Texas. I was going to try to get into law school. Why? I don't know. This is just...
Okay, so wait. But you were also training for the team though, right? You were training because you wanted to like make an attempt.
Okay, so...
Okay, this is fall of 2013. Okay,
so fall of 2013. I tried out for the team in 2013, did not make that team. That fall, I went to practice like one day just to start up the new season. And I trained through the summer. I felt good. My agent basically, because I didn't make the team, he told me he couldn't get me in no track meets. And I was like, okay, whatever. I'll just keep training. I'll stay, good for the fall. That way next year I can be ahead of the game or I can still, I can be ready. But I just went to practice one day and I was like, I sat down with my coach and I was like, I don't think that I need to run track no more. And he's like, what? I was like, I'm in Lubbock. I'm by myself. I'm trying to figure this out. I don't know how much money I can make doing this. No one's giving me any money. If I don't run fast, I can't get in meets. I'm training. I'm putting all this here. Like, this is not what I see for my track and field. Like life. I see myself doing, I see FloJo. This is giving like, no, I'm good. I don't want to do this. I was like, I'm done. And he supported that. Oh my gosh. He was the best. He sat me down and he was like, you're at a university, you can go back to school. You have your degree, so you can go back to school for anything that you want to go back to school for, like whatever. And at the time I thought that I wanted to go and be a lawyer. So I was like, I'm gonna go to law school and I'm gonna try to get into law school. And I ordered the books and I met people that were in law school that came into my job because I was waitressing, and they would tell me about their stories and what they did to get into law school. So I started following a path of going back to school for that spring. And I was in the process of actually doing that. So when I met Kerry, I was not running track. I was done.
Okay.
He never got a piece of track and field, Jasmine. He got me as a waitress that had literally just stopped, that was going to law school. And then when he was leaving Lubbock, I was still going to be in Lubbock. And I was like, well, if we're together and you're leaving, like, what's this transition going to look like? What do you think? And I'm like, well, I could always go back to Houston where I have family and I can try to just go to school there. I can make Houston home base for me, be there. And while you figure out what team you're going to be on and things like that, then we can roll into the next transition. And then I can apply for school and I can start moving into that. And it just didn't work that way. He went to, we went and got our marriage license New Year's Day. So 2013, 24, that transition 2013, 2014, we went and got our license in Texas and found out then that you got to wait 72 hours to get married in Texas.
Yeah.
So we were like, well, when you come back, we'll get married, but we have the license. So for us, this is kind of like we're moving with the flow of things, like it's working out. But when I got to Houston, it was not the vibe for me. It wasn't right. It didn't seem right. And so he was like, you should just come be with me. And I'm like, are you sure? Like, this is going to be a little rough, a little ghetto, because you're training for the combine. You're in a hotel. Like your agent is giving you like $200 a week. And I work for my little $200 a week. Like, come on, like we got to figure out like what's going on. Mind you, this is nothing. I have nothing. Like, the most money at this point that I may have ever seen deposited into my account may have been like $2,000 from running track at the max. And any other time before that, it wasn't nothing close. So I'm working for anything that I have going on and relying on my parents and what they're able to do for me at the time too. And he's in the same space, but now he's relying on his agents. Now he has like an agent and he has, the hopes that he's about to be on a team and stuff like that. Yeah, he's thugging it out for a little bit, but he'll be all right in the next months is obviously like where his head is too, right?
Yeah.
So when we get to Atlanta, we find out that you can get married the same day. And that was a big thing for me too, because I was just like, well, I'm about to move to Atlanta under these circumstances. Like, what are we really doing, like moving forward? And he's like, we're going to get married. Found out that you can get married, got married in Atlanta. And then after that, very, very shortly after that, conceived my daughter. So she came, Valentine's Day, she's November 3rd. So she was right there. And then after the combine and the combine training, we moved back to Austin, and we were in Austin with his mother, and also with, I would go back and forth while he would be gone training and things like that. So that was interesting.
That's such a cute love story, because it's like, to your point of like, we didn't have anything, neither one of us, but we had our love. You hear me? Yeah. Like, we knew what we wanted in that moment.
We knew that we liked each other in the moment. And like, even looking back on it and knowing how I grew up and just knowing how I viewed marriage or just viewed everything, like I don't even think that we were patient with each other the way that we genuinely could have been, because it was like, we do like each other, like we're good, like, like let's transition through these steps and things like that. But I guess God knew that we needed each other through those steps, and I feel like that was the bigger part of it. Like, we have grown together through all of that, through a transition in life where, I'm coming off the back end of my career, or feeling like it's the end of my career and I have nothing, or I haven't accomplished anything. But I've learned so much during that time. And then he's approaching this beginning of his, and even when I look at our stories, they're very like they're very much the same. They're very, very close. And so a lot of the support that I didn't have during that transition in that time for me before I met my husband is something I'm able to offer to him and to give him, and to whatever the words are I wish I would have had, or just, the insight that I have now, I give to him.
Yeah, because you understood that path. So we go through the NFL draft. Did he get drafted?
He did not get drafted.
He did not get drafted, but he was picked up for a practice squad.
For the Jets.
Okay. So talk kind of about that, because people seem to think that as soon as you get like a job within the NFL, whether it be practice squad or you make the 53-man roster, that, oh, he's an NFL player. Oh, he got money. This is good. This is that. How was that transition for you? Because it's like, yeah, he's an NFL player, but he hasn't quite made it over the hump just yet.
Yeah, that reality really set in probably on draft day when he didn't get drafted. And like there was like a slew of emotions that we dealt with at that time, and something that he realized. And I always related to like when I didn't make the Olympic team, I was like, dang, like it was like a realization for me where I'm like, okay, everything is not promised. Everything's not set up this way. Everything that I want is not always going to come, no matter how good it feels, how great it's set up. It's just what was for me is for me. And I have to learn how to accept those moments and push through them. Right. So, man, like that moment was really heavy, because I think it was the first time like he really realized like, okay, what am I doing? What's about to happen now? And going from being a Big 12 player, Big 10 player, whatever you have going on, being Pac-10, conference, all these great things, and then going into a space where everybody's as good as you and you have to compete against those people for one spot, it can be very humbling. And it also can be very stressful, like just on your mental every day. I was pregnant at the time. Like, again, we didn't have anything. When I moved to Houston, I moved in with my father and my stepmom. And his mother lives in Austin, so he's from Austin. So we were going back and forth. My doctor's appointments were in Austin. I would be back at home with, my dad when he was training during OTAs. Not OTAs, but during camp. Is that OTAs? I can't remember. My mind's like not thinking, but that May
draft.
Right after the draft. So it's like rookie camp. It was rookie camp. Yep, yeah. Rookie camp. And then OTA. So like he'd be gone for that. And then when he left for actual camp, that was a very, very like different transition for me, because I was pregnant. I was on the back end, and then like here I am like away from him. Right. I'm not with him at all. And we don't have anything, so I can't really visit. I can't go up there. The tickets are expensive. He's in Florham Park, so I got to fly to Jersey, or I have to fly to New York. And, financially, I wasn't able to be there. We were very strategic with whatever we did when we did see each other. Now, him not getting drafted, for us, it was more of a blow in the heart. Financially, it was like, okay, well, you got to figure out how to make it happen. You got to, is this your dream? Go out there, do your thing. And like what comes for it is going to be right. But for other people, they didn't see like those discrepancies. They just saw exactly what you said. He's in the league, he plays football. And that's almost like, it's just the worst. It really is the worst. Is being able to be in a situation where you're able to make a good amount of money to take care of your family and everybody, be good, and you don't have to really want for anything, is the ultimate goal for anybody, right? Yeah. What you're doing, how you're doing it, like, I don't know. It just is so different going from being a college player and being the person that everybody just had full access to and everybody could get to. And, it's not a lot, of fandom there, I guess, to being on a professional team in a professional field with a whole bunch of people who are doing what you're doing. It was a huge transition for us, and being pregnant and being newlyweds.
That part, I remember when you said that you were pregnant and he was gone, and it took me back to when I was pregnant with my second son, Nehemiah. Same. So we were in Minnesota. Nate had just finished his third year, but then he signed with Seattle. So he had to leave to go to OTAs. And like that when you talk about that, I was just like, oh my gosh, I remember that feeling of like you want to support them, but there's like this feeling of loneliness, and like you're going through all this stuff alone, like all these pregnancy hormones and emotions. Like I remember all of that. And I just thought to myself, like, I couldn't even imagine. I think about, that was after Nate's first contract had expired, right? He was going into Seattle with his second. Now being a rookie, and you guys are both in the, in the unknown, that is a lot. That's a lot to feel at one time. So I completely, I understand that 100%.
No, I was saying it was a transition, but I feel like it was a transition that was 100% needed, like through our relationship, just because it was just a time period for us almost to kind of separate and like get away and like kind of find a space for like what was going to work for us. What does a family look like to us? And it set up so perfectly. I have to say that with my husband and our family, we've always had everything that we've needed. We have not gone into a situation where we're like, I can't believe, or like, we're trying to figure it out. We have always been blessed. And I think, that's a blessing over my life, his life. I've just always been taken care of. So I don't necessarily sit back and like worry about what could happen or what's supposed to happen or what should happen. I get caught up in moments. I can be honest like that, but I'm a very positive person, so I'm able to see that perspective in a lot of light. And so with him, I'm like, okay, well, you're here. So now like the next step is like, make the team. And then the NFL goes to this crazy, weird cutting process where you got to get cut from the team to get put on practice squad. And it's just like, okay. And you're giving pink slips and, and it's like a 24-hour turnaround, 5-hour turnaround. Like, and that was crazy because here we are. Yeah, I remember us sitting in the diner in Florham Park, Morristown, and he got the phone call. Like, we had just finished eating, and they're like, "We need you to come down, and we need you to, get your stuff like out the locker or whatever." And so he was just like, "Oh, okay." So now we're in Jersey, and I think we're living in the hotel, getting ready to move into hopefully an apartment the next day that again we can't even afford. That we had to negotiate the first check of the season to be able to pay the rent for that. Like it just like it was like. It was definitely a roller coaster, but a transition that helped us learn how to work and like really like live and be together. Because like I said, like prior to that, when he was in college, I was living with somebody. It was not a situation where he moved into my house. I had a home and I had a car and like things like that. I moved into his house and we was living with our parents. We were like,
I was still college kids in the sense, still trying to figure that out. I totally get that. But at some point, he got that call. He made the team. Yes. When we were in Detroit, they actually pulled him up for a game, the last game of the season with the Jets. And then that next year, he thought that they were doing it to keep him or something of that nature. But then we ended up getting a phone call from the Lions, and then he did a year with the Lions on practice squad. And then that following year, we actually made the team. That's awesome. Nice. Made the team. And that was beautiful. I remember that moment, like just him being so joyful and being so happy. And like, there is like, no matter who you are, it's crazy to think, but there's just that fear of the unknown that it will be, it could be over. I won't make it. Or I won't have it. And those emotions, man, I've dealt with them. So when you got to Detroit and you realized, okay, we are going to be here for a minute, was that a moment for you to sit back and like, okay, what do I want to do? Because you've done all these amazing things. Let's change gears a little bit and talk about what you've done. Okay, you're a certified personal trainer, like I'm saying, you have a sports apparel company. You've done all these amazing things. Was this in Detroit when you decided to do this, or was this later?
None of that. So at the time, like when I got there, I'm like, okay, what do I do?
Right.
Because I had basically
this is after you had your daughter.
So I had my daughter, and I went back to training after I had my daughter. And so like I was telling you guys, like
what?
Yes, like
that was after. Okay.
I went back. This is where the years add up. I went back to training after having my daughter because, I was like, I felt like I could do this. I think that there was also a sense of me learning how to, like I told you, the transition in 2020 versus that time. I felt like I couldn't quite let go. And then I was watching, I think at the time, Alyssa Montano, I watched her run pregnant at the 2015 USA Championships, and I'm pregnant. I'm not 2014 championships, and I'm sitting here like I'm pregnant. She did it, like I can do it, and I just was feeling like I was feeling really motivated, and I didn't feel like my time was done. Lashinda Demas had done it. Like there was just people that I had seen do it prior, so I was like, I can do it. And I also have to say that I don't think that I had the right people around me either, because there is a time that you're supposed to let things go and you are supposed to move on. And by no means do I feel like I should have just been stopped a long time ago or whatever it might be. But I do feel like going into a season in my life where I had just got married and I just had a baby, and like my husband was so supportive, and like he's like, yeah, you're at home. He didn't know track Jasmine, so he's like, you at home, take care of my wife, you're gonna be good, like just chill, just sit down, do your thing, whatever. And then I'm with my peers and people who aren't experiencing that quite yet. So they're just like, oh, you're not running track. You're not going to run no more. You're still young. And people have babies and come back all the time. And boom, boom, boom. And da-da-da-da. But I had another role now. Like that I was transitioning. I was moving on. And people were making me feel like I shouldn't have stopped, or I shouldn't let go, or I should keep going, or I like don't stop what you're doing for a man, and all these different things. And those were none of my reasons why I had stopped before I met this man.
You didn't feel that way at first, but talking to them and being around them, it made you
they're
feel
planting
like,
all these seeds
I'm not doing
in your mind.
Okay.
And so I'm like, I started looking at that, and then that was a big reason why I went back to training again. So that year he was on practice squad with the Lions, and then the year after that I stayed back and I trained. And so not making that Olympic team in 2016, we had sacrificed so much with finances, being away from each other, everything. So when he made the team, I was like, we made the team.
That's right.
We
both celebrating.
You made the team. We made the team. I'm not going, to London right now, but it's all good because like I'm in Detroit with my man. I got my baby. Like we're about to have a year. Like let's go. And so I was not thinking about what was next. I was literally thinking about being a mom and a wife and just being there with my family and slowly trying to figure out what would be next for me. And so then I did start doing a whole bunch of random stuff. Again, like just moving and shaking with people based off of where I was at that time. So I have like a certification in eyebrow microblading because one of my homegirls that I met at the time was like, we should make eyebrows. And I was okay, let's do it, I ain't got nothing else to do. And she's like, we can make millions of dollars. We got all this time. And I'm just like, okay, And so like, I honestly find myself after track and field, that being a big thing for me. That was hard for me to find, like letting go of track and then finding the replacement of something that I'm just as passionate about outside of being a mom and a wife. And, like what.
But you know what I appreciate though? So even in this phase of discovery, you just were trying stuff. Yeah. Right? Like it wasn't like I'm gonna sit still. I'm gonna get this microblading certification. I'm going to, you got your personal training certification too, right?
Yes.
But all these things, like I admire that about you and about women that just keep going and trying stuff, right? Because in the end, like when in some chapter of your life, all of it gonna come together. You're gonna be like, oh yeah, I learned that.
Absolutely.
Then.
Absolutely.
Or I did that. I know how to do that.
Absolutely. Or learning that what's not for you or what isn't meant for you to be a part of. Yeah. Like that for me has been like a huge lesson in a lot of things that I start doing or that I've done, or I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is really not for me. I need to start sitting down and really thinking about what I'm doing or what I want to do, or and also appreciating that I have the time to do that. And I'm on, you see the memes and people talking about it, and it's like, no, I'm not on anybody's clock. And just because, my husband does play football and I do have resources and people might be interested in my life, like I don't have to be an Instagram influencer. I don't have to do all those things. I don't have to show every part of my life. Like I can give what I want to give and not give what I want to give, and I can enjoy that and leave it at where it's at. But I want to say during that transition, there was a big like whirlwind of like trying to like stay like out of that cyclone and feeling like you had to be a part of those things. And so that's why so much of discovery was during that time for me.
So, okay, so you tried out all these different things, but you also are an owner and operator at Cheba Hut's. Talk about Cheba Hut Toasted Subs and how that even came about. Like, what?
Because, baby, I looked at the website. When I saw it, I was like, what is Cheba Hut? I said, my ass need a sandwich. For real. Because there's one in the university area that I'm going to try.
Yes, you have to go. If you have one in your local area, you have to go. It's like a hidden gem. It's blowing up. You know, they have it in Arizona. It originated in Arizona. And there's literally, I think there's only 3 or 4 in AZ. I think there's like 3, but most of them are in Colorado. They're headquartered in Colorado right now, but they're starting to expand, and we became franchisees together, my husband and I. And he made me 51. He 49. So we out here doing the thing.
Okay. You smart. Smart.
Where's it located at?
So we're opening ours in Dallas off of Preston Road. It's going to be just probably like 15, 20 minutes, like north of downtown Dallas. And if you've been there's a Deep Ellum location. So about 30 minutes from the Deep Ellum location. We're in the process now of getting like everything together, get it built and getting that transition going with the opening around April or May. So of 2020.
That is so exciting.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so excited about that.
Yes.
So when you do your grand opening, you got to let us know.
Yes, I definitely will do that. I will definitely do that.
Yeah. So Dallas is your guys' home base.
Yes, and so we're based in Dallas. We were in Detroit for those 4 years, and then I told you guys we got not traded. We literally got picked up because I guess Detroit like parted ways with us, and then we kind of were just free agents floating around. Yeah. He was on like a weird deal, especially with his practice squad years, like adding up. Like his practice squad years added up to a vested year, which was really crazy because the year that he tore his Achilles in 2017. So the year that he tore his Achilles was the year that he became vested because he was still on the team, but that was his third year. I don't I was like, wow. Again, I tell them like all the time, like you gotta see like and look how things like always like set up for you. Things are always set up. Things are always prepared. Even with our restaurant, this is a restaurant he's never heard of. He has a degree in restaurant hospitality, a minor in restaurant hospitality. So he has always wanted to open up a restaurant. He wants to open up, all types of bars and restaurant and clubs, whatever he can. That's what his after plans are when it comes to what he wants to do when he's done with football. So this was one of our big, transitions. We're like, okay, what's the next thing that we're going to do? Like, what are we looking at? And he's like, I really want to do a restaurant. And so we were thinking of doing our own. And then a lot of our friends and people that we know have done the franchise. We actually had a really, really close friend at the time that we picked Cheba Hut. They were in Texas, in Prosper, and they were doing their training for Nothing But Cakes. And she's like, y'all got to get on, but y'all got to get on with crumble. And I'm just like, like, I don't like cookies like that. Like, that's a lot. So I really just took my time, like, Kerry, you let me know what you think. And then he came back and was like, what do you think about Cheba Hut? I was like, what you know about Cheba Hut? Like, what?
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, absolutely. Like, what's going on? But my memory of Cheba Hut was so different growing up in Arizona. It's like literally this small little sandwich sub shop. But now it's expanded. It has a full bar. It's a 2,800 square foot, location. So it's completely different. It's evolved. And I'm really excited and so happy that I'm a part of the brand just because I grew up on it and I get to have my hands on it. We have opportunities to have 3 different stores. So each one's going to be different. We're going to have them in different places. And that's going to be our next little endeavor.
And kudos to you guys because I think that when a lot of players, when they finally make it, they think that that's it, right? They're like, all right, I made it. I'm good, right? Yeah. Yes. They don't think past football. They don't think about, okay, how can I use this money to invest in something next? How can,
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So kudos to y'all for already thinking ahead and being ahead of the game. So when whatever happens, whenever God decides it's your time, you've already planted the seeds and you're already growing into something else.
No, absolutely. And the people around us now too, like have so many people that are just always like on top of like what they have going on, like that, like get it done, like mentality, and like make it happen, and you can do it. Oh man, like that's so awesome. And then seeing people be successful at the same time is also like so motivating. So we've been in a really good space to be able to have the opportunity to open up a restaurant, do it together. I'm going to be in the store. I'm going to run the store. It's going to be my store. So I'm really excited about that with my history in waitressing. I've opened up.
How did you guys decide to do a franchise versus maybe starting a restaurant on your own?
So with the franchise, they give you pretty much like a full blueprint, and it's almost basically foolproof. I think for us, just coming, being a little bit more like frugal and really wanting to take the time to understand and being honorable of like our time and actually what we're able to commit to, we felt like doing something that was something that we were interested into, that kind of already had a brand name, some recognition that we could grow with and learn with before we branched off and did our own thing would be better for us. I really want, I'm like, I don't know nothing about anything in restaurants. So for someone to be able to, like, not anything in restaurants, but I'm saying like for someone to sit and teach me how to, operate a store, I think that is way more important than going and opening up my own place and then like just taking all the L's of the mom and pops take. We don't have that risk factor. Like we can't risk it.
So
like
it's the risk factor that you're negating. You don't have to worry about because someone else is kind of helping you along the way.
Yes, and it's something you believe in and that you trust and you enjoy. So it also helps with the process as well. So you don't have too many doubts and you're not thinking like, oh, what if this doesn't work? Like you're still able to see like, what the other stores are doing. And then you also have community, and community is really big for me. And I don't know, my husband's a little guy. He got to keep to himself a little bit. But for me, I like to have community.
You are a social butterfly.
Yes. I like to be able to, I need to know, like, tell me your stories, tell me your experience. I need to know everything so I can be able to process this, right?
Yeah.
So being able to meet other people, other owners and operators is really awesome as well. Knowing that, like, if I need anything, I can call somebody or not be left by myself.
I love that. Absolutely.
Okay, so here's my question, because I hear the kitties in the background. And I know you're on all these different ventures. How do you balance? I don't even know if balance is the right word, but like talk about your management of all these different things and explain the process of how you got there.
Man, blessings. When we talk about blessings, we talk about blessings. Like everything is really a journey, and we haven't always been here. We have not always been here, which is why a lot of stuff has come to fruition now, because it's been the planting of the seeds to get here. So being able to, I've always been mostly a stay-at-home mom. I've always taken care of the kids. I've always been that person for our family.
How old are your babies?
Gia is 8. She just turned 8, and Zoya is about to turn 1 in a month. So I stay at home, I be chilling. So it's not ever like it's not hard for me to balance. So using balance is not the word. It's more like,
just the management of like,
being able to like manage like opportunities and like hanging out and like, getting my free time and being a wife and a mom.
It'll change, or it'll adjust closer to when the store or when the restaurant opens.
Absolutely.
Right? Then it becomes more of so how am I gonna wear all these hats and still be present for
absolutely
the most
absolutely
for the babies.
I have a business coach. He helps me with the managing of my business and my ideas and the things that I want there, and like giving me like deadlines and like timelines for that. I obviously am gonna have like all the support I need, like from Cheba Hut, but mostly like outside of that, my mom. I'll have my mom, and if it's not my mom, then it's the people in my neighborhood, in my community. We are very close. I feel like here.
I love that.
We definitely like we look out for each other, look out for each other's kids, look out for each other's homes. Like when we're away, like that's a peace of mind within itself. Like I can tell my neighbors I'm gonna be gone for 2 weeks for my husband or whatever, and I know that my house is cool. But for the most part, a lot of it sits with just prioritizing what I feel is important. A lot of things for me are not obligatory. I don't have to do nothing. And so
Real
that
talk.
feels good. And not until I open up this store will I be in that position. So I've just kind of been coasting.
Okay, so wait, because he's in San Francisco. Did you decide to stay based in Texas and then you travel up and support as needed? Yes. Oh, got it. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It was, and it actually was set up like this in 2020. I feel like because of COVID, which is also how he ended up trying Cheba Hut, because they had to spend 2 weeks in Arizona because they got kicked out of San Francisco. So they had to spend 2 weeks in Arizona. He's door dashing and getting Cheba Hut every day. So he fell in love with it.
We lightweight moved to Arizona for a little bit too during COVID. We was like, everybody else closed down. Arizona. Where can we go and get some sunshine and enjoy life?
Well, they sent the whole team. They sent the whole team. Everybody had to go. They sent everybody.
Smart.
Back. Yeah,
smart.
They sent everybody.
Arizona,
back. So
man. It's a special place.
It is. Yes. It really is. And you know, him going back to Arizona and wait, where were we at? I've completely lost my thought.
Oh, no. You're good. Go ahead. Whatever you're saying, go ahead.
We're talking about
my fault. Listen, that's my fault. I was like, oh, yes. COVID, Arizona, good times.
Right. Yes. So during COVID, they we couldn't travel. We could not travel. And my daughter had started kindergarten that year. And I was just like, I don't want to do this to her. Like, she's about to be in kindergarten. Like, this is home. How much longer are you going to be playing football? And we don't know. It could be way longer. We don't know. But you want to also create some type of normalcy. So for my daughter, I was like, okay, we're going to stay in 2020, and whenever we can commute, we'll commute. And we did, based off of the season, off of the holidays and their breaks. So this year, when he went back, I was like, we've already done it before. We know what it looks like, and it actually would be way more. It won't be as bad this time because we can travel whenever we want, and we can actually incorporate more weekends to come and see you and things like that when the girls are missing you, and we can arrange a lot better. So this year we decided to do that same type of setup. And again, I told you guys in the past, we've been away from each other before. When I was training, me not training now makes it better because I'm able to move around and yes, and I'm not personal training anybody like in a stationary place, and my fitness apparel, everything is online. So I don't have to be in a space where I'm actually.
Okay, you can't just throw that out there and be like, my fitness apparel is online. Like, how did you decide and when did you decide to start a fitness apparel? Come on. First of all, give us the website. Come on.
Okay, you guys, JasmineHyder.com. Go straight to the website. It's there. I had running track. So when I was in Detroit, I was training with the young girls, and every day I was coming to practice. They're like, Jasmine, do you get dressed for practice? And I'm like, but like, y'all would have to see how these girls would come to practice. I mean, they're in college, and so like we didn't.
So you showing up cute.
And I mean, all the time, like you want to look cute when you training, you look good, feel good, run good. Like that's what it was. Fly, fit, fab. Like it's all
real
that.
Talk.
So when I got, and then I had a year I trained with Natasha Hastings, and she is everything. Okay, she is the 400-meter diva, and she ain't stepping on the track without some lashes and some lipstick. So I had to, I had to step my game up when I was around her. And so I kind of like picked up those things when I came and started back training when I was in Detroit. And so it was exciting for me. And then that was a time period in my life when I was doing something for myself. So I was waking up in the morning, I was getting ready for practice, I was going to train, and I was moving and shaking, and it was feeling good. And one of the little girls, she was like, you should start an apparel line. And I'm like, huh? She was like, I would buy from you. I'd buy anything that you think. And I'm like, how does that even work? So I just started looking into it, and I started seeing, what something like that would consist of, like what it, like what it would be like. And it's actually a lot of work. And for me, I feel like also too, like it's, I'm a quality person, so I don't like just giving people anything. And I've learned so much in the business, about where stuff is sourced from. I've learned, how stuff is made, and just so many different things that make
athletic apparel. line?
Athletic apparel. Okay. Yes. So everything is fitness apparel. And I don't. It's now it's like this big craze where people are wearing fitness apparel to go grocery shopping, and we're wearing fitness apparel to but in heels in the club, and it's a whole nother like ball game of like, okay, who are you targeting, and who do you want to wear your clothes, and all those things like that. And me, I want people to feel good in my clothes, no matter what shape or size you are. My whole movement is find your fit. What fits you, what works for you, doesn't work for somebody else.
And this everything stuff is cute too. I'm on the website right now.
So cute.
It is super cute.
So I'm like, you're looking at all these things, and then like, I just want it to be right. I want to make sure that whatever I present to people or I give to people is really honest. So that was something that I discovered in the process that I wasn't happy about. And so that's made me a little
Do you feel like in Arizona, because I was thinking about this because I had already went on inside your stuff. Okay. So do you feel like in Arizona, because in Arizona, you're kind of lightweight in fitness apparel or lighter things all the time. Yes. So like when I saw your line, it was like, yes, like you don't want to look like everybody else, but you still want to like be in the right stuff, right?
Yeah. Like you don't want to like walk around like just looking crazy. Like I don't know. And this is where this is where the Nikes and everybody gets away with it, because they know how to make it fly and fashionable and let you like be able to like do both and like combine and get into both, And to me, like that's important. Like I want to make sure that it is something, because I was the person that would go to track practice and then have to go to class and then have to go to a meeting and then just all day moving around where I am not able to change out of my clothes. So like I like my little crop top and my outfit that fits, but then like I also want to be presentable when I go into the meeting or when I go into the class. Like I don't want to have to cover myself up and things like that. So it's really a learning process, and I love it. I love learning. I love talking to people. I love meeting vendors and talking to vendors and figuring out like what's the best quality of what I'm trying to present and give to people before I just bulk something and send it out. It's just hard. Yeah. It's so hard for me. It's so hard for me.
Yes. Okay. So let's switch gears a little bit and play a little game.
Okay. Ready? It's called the 2-minute drill. And we're going to ask you questions, this or that, or the other. So you either fill in the blank or you answer A or B. Or you can just say whichever one. Okay? So, you ready?
Yep.
All right. 2-minute drill starts now. Falling leaves or blooming flowers?
Blooming flowers.
Okay. Split the bill or take turns paying?
Take turns paying.
Instagram story or Snapchat story? Only can pick one.
Snapchat. Snapchat gets real.
Which team in the NFL has the most Super Bowl appearances?
This is easy.
Is it? Oh, the 49ers?
No.
Give you a hint.
It's the New England.
What is these hints?
He is now in Tampa, but he was.
I ain't even see it. So he doing
it. It's the Patriots.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay. Dine in or delivery?
Dine in.
Hang out with little kids or old folks?
Old folks.
Listen. Okay. What is something interesting we would not know about you just by looking at you?
Oh my gosh. That I used to do gymnastics?
Love that.
Absolutely.
What year did the San Francisco 49ers win the Super Bowl?
Man, you can't do that. I don't know these things. 1969. A lot of stuff happened in 1969. Just go with 69.
Let me give you another clue. Okay, I'll give you the clue of no, that's too difficult. Put it this way. We'll come back to that one. I don't want. I think you'll get it at the end. Okay.
There was a lot. Yeah, they won a few. Okay, go ahead.
They won a few. You can just guess. They
Okay, mom scolding you in public or your dad not talking to you?
Mom scolding you in public.
Real talk. Embarrassment, humiliation, all of the above. If you could instantly learn any language, which language would you choose?
Dang, I was just watching some. I want to learn my native African language of whatever tribe I'm from to teach me how to speak my native language.
Have you done the African ancestry?
Yes, I have. I'm very controversial about that whole thing. I gave it a try, and then I started looking, and we got to get deep into the traits. You need to know what like traits you carry, so we can really know like where we're from. They can give you the basics and the Congo and the Bantu people and all this stuff.
Not Ancestry.com, the African ancestry.
No, I ain't never done the African ancestry. What's that one?
Okay, so I know we getting off topic real quick, but
yeah, can we finish the 2-minute drill? No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
2014. No. Finish the 2004. Let's finish the drill, and then we'll do it. Okay. Do you mostly curse in your head or out loud?
Out loud.
Do you prefer cooking or cleaning?
Cleaning.
Okay. What is next for Jasmine Hyder?
Oh, what is next? I'm telling y'all, I'm about to build this restaurant. I am so excited about this build out and creating a vibe. I
can't wait to roll up.
Now, honestly, that's the biggest thing on my plate. Yeah.
Listen,
people don't know about them toasted subs. You hear me?
I'm trying to tell people, and it's crazy because like not until you have the sub, you're like, okay. And then even if you don't catch the hype, once you have the sub, you're like, wow, okay.
Yep. So I'm gonna try when I go to AZ next month.
Yeah, I mean, you said there's one close to you. You should be one close.
It popped up, and then I missed that it said temporarily closed. So I don't know what's going on. It's in the U Village. It's in the U Village area. I don't know what's going on with them, but.
So maybe they're opening.
Yeah, they might
maybe it's like coming.
Like it's coming. And like when I tell you like they popping up, they are popping up. I've talked to a couple different people, and then like of course we get like emails and things like that of like new franchisees and stuff. So it's like it's legit. It's so legit.
Okay, let's go back to this African ancestry real quick.
Okay, yes, please.
So real quick, and I did it for Cliff, and when he talked about it in the locker room with the Seahawks, they ended up bringing in the owner of African ancestry. So they do it and they trace it back to the tribe that you came from. So you know the country, whatever, and you can do it for your mother's side and your father's side. So for girls, it's better to do your maternal lineage, and then a brother or a father or somebody to do like your paternal lineage. But you should do it. Right. And then you'll know your tribe. They'll do like a coming home trip for you if that's what you're interested in too. So you got to do it.
I'm such a loser. Y'all, I'm such a loser because I was so like talking to my husband last night and I was telling him, I was like, they need a website where you can trace back.
Yeah, no, they can't.
And you can find your tribe. And you can find your tribe and they can send you back home where you can meet your tribe.
No,
he's like, ancestry.
So listen,
African
ancestry. Tia heard you.
Look,
yeah, you must have
cut this part out, but it's a good gift for your husband.
Oh,
yeah, it really is.
Christmas is coming up.
Yeah, Tia, you and I talked about it last year. I'm actually going to try to gift it this year. I'm going to try to see if I can get them to come on and surprise, maybe do something for me on air because he's always wanted to do it. So maybe I'll talk to CBS. I'm going to figure out something. I want to know. Yes.
Yeah. I want to know.
It would be fun.
That would be beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, but Jasmine, before you go, if people want to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you? Where do they find you?
Oh, yes. You can find me on Instagram at Jasmine Hyder _. You can find me on YouTube at Jasmine Hyder. You can find me on Instagram. Well, I already said that, right?
Yeah.
I said Instagram already.
Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, them are the only two places you really need to find me because that's where I be all day.
And she's very entertaining, y'all. Y'all will have a good time.
Okay, I'll be sure to leave links and in the show notes.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on, Jasmine. We appreciate you.
Thank you. That was awesome.
What a fun time. We had a good time with Miss Jasmine.
Yes. Yo, she done a whole lot, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm glad she shared about the business of track and field because like I said, I feel like it's a mystery and people don't really see how tough it is to like really make it to these national levels like World Championship team or the Olympics, things of that nature.
Yeah, it's so, the difference I think between track and field and team sports is just the team part, right? So you have a team, you can try out for different positions on a team. Track and field is like you got a bunch of people trying out for just one position. That's it. Only one person gets it. So it's really hard and that's why it's so hard to earn money. So I'm just proud of her for even trying and for sharing her journey and just doing all the cool things she's already done, within track and outside of track. So thank you, Jasmine. We appreciate you, girl.
Yes, yes.
All right. So for the latest on Inside Lines, make sure to follow us on both Instagram and Facebook at Inside Lines Podcast.
And be sure to check out our website, insidelinespodcast.com, and leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/insidelines.
Until then, leave it all out on the field. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.